let's get to the juicy bits now, the near death stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So where I left everybody off, I went through, explained the health stuff and everything, and right now I feel way better, like a completely different person. I've completely changed my lifestyle. I work out multiple times a day. I've been drinking tons of this like hydrogen infused water and taking mushroom supplements, and just completely changed everything. Even my relationship with like cannabis and stuff, I've kind of just altered it. Less frivolous smoking, more intentional when I do it, and more, with like a purpose and like a thought, and just putting more, mind and mindfulness into pretty much everything that I'm doing. So in
Well,
that
yeah,
regard,
I think like it's not what stuff happens to you; it's why stuff happens for you. And sometimes you gotta hit the bottom to kind of bounce off and take a look at yourself through the microscope
well,
and
and I
make
didn't
some
realize,
changes.
yeah, I didn't realize that was the worst physical shape I've been. Maurice knows this. We went to school our whole lives, but I was pretty athletic when I was younger. I played baseball, football, hockey, lacrosse. I've always been a bigger dude, but more of like a bruiser on the field type.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just kind of let myself go towards my late 20s, and just never really took good care of myself again physically. And I've always been trying to work on my mind and fix my OCD, and I've never felt better OCD wise now. And I think we can talk about, I'll get to that in a little bit, but I think part of it at least is taking care of my body, obviously working out, getting out more, just getting your endorphins and your body going, kind of a thing. And
Totally, totally.
so right now I feel the best I have physically in a long time, which is good. So to your point, I think that's the good that came from this whole thing. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is the difference between passing out, like when you faint, like or somebody faints, and then like what happened to me. Like I lost so much blood that I was losing consciousness, and I was like fighting it. It was like a different feeling than just fainting, if that makes sense. Like it's not, I wasn't going to wake up on my own like you do when you faint like a minute later or whatever the case may be. I fainted in like church when I was younger and stuff. It wasn't even nearly the same thing. So yeah, so I faint. It was like fainting in the sense, but not, because like I said, without intervention, I wasn't getting back up. So anyways, a shorthand of what happened is I had been having some GI issues, and I lost so much blood throughout one day, which I for whatever reason, it just didn't trigger in my mind, whether I thought it was like hemorrhoids or whatever. The amount of blood that I was losing just didn't click in my mind that was even like a possibility that could happen, because I've never had anything happen like that in my entire life.
Uh-huh.
So when I was in the shower and I was going down, I called for my wife. She luckily came down, called the ambulance. I get taken to the hospital. But while I was in that bathroom, like in the tub, naked in my own blood, in
Jesus.
filth. Well, I mean, this is what
Yeah,
happened.
yeah.
I mean, this is
Yeah, I
what
hear
happened. So I was able to kind of get myself up. I'm sitting on the toilet. And they need me to kind of get like clothes on and stuff, like the firemen and paramedics and stuff that were here. And somehow my mom had gotten here in that amount of time. So, I mean, she doesn't live that far, but I mean, I was cutting in and out. And I mentioned this the first time. The consciousness aspect of it was like a movie when they show you somebody in like a hospital bed and it keeps cutting to like black and then somebody new, or then black, and like that's kind of what was happening. It was like a frame thing, like kind of cutting in and out. That's like what my consciousness was. So I was on the toilet, and this is kind of where the mystical experience aspect of it happened, which I'm sitting on the toilet, I'm losing consciousness again, and this like white light, this warm white light like flooded over me, just like envelops me. And it wasn't religious. Like I didn't feel any sort of connection to anything that was like, oh, this is God, or oh, this is Jesus, or anything like that. It just felt like comforting. It was this like comforting light that was just like washing over me. And actually the picture in my background, if you're watching this, DALL-E or ChatGPT, that's the closest I could get to like what it looked like. Maybe a little bit more bright white, but that's the same vibe, that like tunnely looking thing. That's like kind of what I was experiencing in my mind. And I can hear the guy saying, "Oh, he's barely got a pulse. We got to get him up. We got to get him out of here." And then I hear, my mom saying, something as I'm, in that state. I hear Asher, who's my son, needs his father. And she's like slapping me in the face, trying to keep me up because they want to keep me conscious if possible. And
these are all things you were able to kind of talk about with your mom after to just make sure you weren't
Oh yeah,
dreaming or anything. You were
no, she can.
actually kind of.
Yeah, she can. I mean, I would get her on the show if she wanted to do it and talk about it. But yeah, I mean, this is something. My wife was there, the paramedic. She was there, but she was like, Asher needs his father, and like she was slapping me in the face, and then I popped up like after I heard that, and that like snap. I had like a rush of like adrenaline or whatever sort of energy I had. I slipped on a pair of shorts. These dudes put me in this like chair thing to get people, it wasn't a gurney because I was in my basement. It was, I don't even know what it was. It was like some sort of chair that they use. Anyways, they put me in this thing, and I'm a heavy dude, and they left 4 dudes were able to carry me up the stairs. And shout out to those dudes. They definitely saved my life, or at least had a hand in it. I mean, I think my wife's fast acting actually probably is what saved my life, to be honest with you. But yeah, and then so when I was in that warm light, I think that's probably, look, my heart didn't stop, or at least didn't stop to my knowledge. So I didn't have what was considered one of these, I guess, traditional, if that's what you want to call it, like what you hear most people go into like cardiac arrest and then see God or Jesus or something like that. I didn't have that experience, but the white light thing was very interesting and was like a serene feeling. It was almost like being in like a warm pool with the sun over you, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
Like everything's like drowned out, and you still have like, I wouldn't say an awareness, it's just like a state of being. And then, you're taking it in. Anyways, so she's slapping me. Apparently, I wake back up, or get out of that, and then they get me out of there, and I go to the hospital eventually. So once I'm at the hospital, they're giving me fluids, and I was obviously dehydrated, lost a ton of blood. My hemoglobin levels were like super low. They were worried about that and stuff like that. So yeah, so it was scary. Again, if you're interested in like the whole story of how it all went down, you can go check out part 1. I'll actually I tracked this thing back all the way to this venomous spider bite I had that forced me, because I got a skin infection, to take antibiotics. I believe that the antibiotics messed up my stomach biome or my gut biome, and then also from not taking care of myself, and a lot of other factors kind of pushed me into this state where this was happening to my GI tract anyways. But so yeah, so that's where I was in terms of like the mystical stuff. Again, no God or Jesus or beings or anything like that. I know people that have had those. I mean, we did those episodes. You've been
we've done lots of them.
Yeah, you've been. Yeah, what was the one guy's name? Well, we've had Dr. Eben Alexander on, who's a neuroscientist who had his own near-death experience and wrote the book Proof of Heaven, which is a pretty popular, famous book. We've also had Rob Gentile on, who had 2 traditional near-death experiences, and actually was living without a heart for a while. So I didn't even know that was possible, but they put like a pump/pacemaker thing in there, I guess. I don't know.
And now he got his heart from a teenage girl.
Yeah, that one's. Oh yeah. That was so So
Then he found a new love of peanut butter M&Ms or
or was that? It
something.
was like Skittles or something. Yeah, it was like something like
Yeah.
that.
And he
Yeah.
like hated junk food, and then all of a sudden he's listening to Backstreet Boys and eating peanut M&Ms.
Yeah, and then her family said that those were her favorite things too, which is kind of interesting. So
That's
like
wild. That's
that begs the
wild.
question: is their consciousness also stored in your organs?